Dak stinks. Why is there any need to talk about Dak Prescott? He stinks. He's not even going to be the quarterback of that team by the halfway through the season. Ginger Hercules.
Do you think it's crazy that Dak Prescott has come out not numerous amount of times, especially in the past week, and said that if he doesn't get the franchise tag off of him, that he might not play this season?
Terrific. That'd be better for the Cowboys.
You really think so? With Andy Dalton as the quarterback?
100%. Listen, you can blame a lot of, things on the coaches that were there and the play calling, because that seems to be like what Cowboys fans say every time. Oh, it was Jason Garrett. But you want to know what? Go back to that Philly game at the end of last season when they had a shot to beat Philly and get in the playoffs. Dak Prescott was throwing the ball all over the yard and couldn't hit wide open receivers.
Simple routes, too. Mm-hmm.
Right. So you can say all you want about play calling, and they did after that game. Oh, the play calling was bad. Really? Was the play calling bad, or did the plays not work because Dak Prescott didn't hit open receivers?
I think it was a little bit of both, but yeah, you're definitely right. He missed a lot of easy throws, short throws too that he's normally accustomed to making, medium length throws, stuff like that. Yeah,
he was bad, right? And you can say a lot of things about Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton was the quarterback of a team that was just abysmal, and he even dragged them to the playoffs a few times.
Five times, yeah.
Right. What if you had put any kind of talent around Andy Dalton, which, by the way, people always say that that's not Dallas's problem. They have guys. They have talent, right?
Yeah, they say that, especially C.D. Lamb there now. I mean, they have an ultra amount of talent with Ezekiel Elliott, C.D. Lamb, and now Amari Cooper, who is to me, a number 2. And now you probably have the best, if C.D. Lamb becomes the player that we all think he's going to become, you have a dynamic 1-2 punch right there on the outside.
Right. Give Ginger Hercules the chance.
Unfortunately, I don't think the Cowboys are going to do that. That's why they decided to bring in the coach that they brought in, because he thinks he can fix Dak Prescott and his accuracy. And really, I'm going to say this for Jerry Jones. You paid a guy, Zeke Elliott, almost $60 million in the offseason last year. Now what are you going to do that your best player, your best overall player, your running back, is now playing in a West Coast offense that doesn't fit his style of game? What are you going to do with that?
Right. He was never a pass-catching back to begin with, and now he's going into an offense that relies a lot on accurate and short passes to be able to make that happen, where that's going to be very difficult in order for him to progress. Now, if he could develop into a pass-catching back with him, maybe, then credit to McCarthy if he does that, but he hasn't shown that he could be that modern-type running back either that can make it hard. He's good at catching screen passes. Okay, so he had 700 yards catching screen passes. That doesn't mean you're a good pass-catching back.
I mean, that all we're doing is talking about the football side of things right now, too. There's also a business side of things. What's going to happen to the Cowboys if they sign Dak Prescott to a $35-40 million a year deal? Because then you'll have one of the highest paid quarterbacks, you'll have the highest paid running back, the highest paid defensive end, right? They've been, one of the highest paid receivers since they just gave Amari Cooper a huge contract. Who are they going to be able to sign to maintain this team long term?
I agree with you, Jeff. I think that Dak Prescott shouldn't be demanding anything. He shouldn't be arguing anything. He's getting $33 million this season. To me, where he overachieved this year with a team where in the fourth quarter they got 90% of their points, or really 80% of their points, and the points really stacked up later in the game when they were going to lose the game. So I agree with you. I don't think Dak Prescott should be demanding anything from the Cowboys.
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, he had good numbers last year, right? Mm-hmm. But this is the problem when people are just numbers people. It doesn't show you that he could only beat one team with a winning record last year, because he ran up all of his stats against the Redskins twice, the Miami Dolphins, who stunk, the Giants, who stunk. He ran it up against really bad teams, and then he couldn't find a way to beat any team that was 500 or better.
Yeah, I think except for the Rams at the end of the season, all their other
Right,
wins
well,
were
the
in
Rams,
division.
like he had
yeah.
one win, but all the others, he laid eggs.
Right, they were 5-1 in division, which the division was bad on an easy schedule. And
right, and the time that they beat Philly, Philly was under 500.
Yeah, and even so, like they were still banged up. We know what happened with the Eagles this year, and that's why they were only 9-7. We know they're more talented than that too. So what you're looking at with that is, can they win games late in the season, which seems to be a Cowboys problem even before Dak, and can they win key games, which, again, still a Cowboys problem, but also a him problem right now in terms of playing well in those particular games. Game logs are the best way to look at it, and especially games on the road, too.
I mean, he hasn't been good. Why would you pay a dude that can't beat a winning team franchise money?
Well, again, I don't know what Jerry Jones is planning to do, but obviously bringing Andy Dalton, it gives them that insurance policy if Dak Prescott decides not to play this year. I do believe Dak will play with $33 million, but I do believe this could be the last season Dak Prescott's a starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
He has no choice but to play. That's the other thing that they're not telling you, is he has no choice. Because if he were to sit out, where else can he go and get a job? Because Jacksonville has set themselves up where they're going to be at the top of the draft next year and get one of the top cornerbacks, right? Like Washington seems like they're kind of set. Who knows what Dwayne Haskins does? But, you know, with Ron Rivera now coaching that team, Haskins is similar to Cam Newton. That might work, right? So where's there a job open that Dak Prescott can go and take?
There is none. There is none, especially now that Burrows is over there in Cincinnati. There is really none. He's not going to the New England Patriots. That's for sure.
Chicago, if both Foles and Trubisky struggle,
that might be the only chance, because if you look at all of the other options, they're really not good options. And Dak Prescott can't afford to let Ginger Hercules come in there and have it. God forbid Andy Dalton gets to play and he plays well. That'll be the end of Dak Prescott.
I agree with you.
Can't let that happen.
I agree with you. Thanks, Jeff.
All right, boys, enjoy.
Who are we speaking to?
This is Kevin.
Kevin, what's going on?
Okay, gotta say, Carson Wentz sucks. I mean, this guy, why does he keep getting praises on top elite QB? He hasn't done nothing. He had one good season, and then he can't stay healthy. He's always injured. I hope people criticize him as much as they criticize Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott is a much better QB than Carson Wentz, in my opinion.
Well, why do you think that?
I just think he handles pressure better.
No, but we've never seen Carson Wentz really in the playoffs, so we can't really suggest to think that if Carson Wentz takes the Eagles to the playoffs this coming year, he can't take them all the way to the Super Bowl. We've seen Dak in the playoffs. He's played sensational in certain games, and then he'll go into a game and completely disappear. We've seen this. And his accuracy over the last couple of years, especially later in the season, it's not what you call precise. That's the problem with Dak Prescott. And do you think Dak Prescott deserves $40 million a year?
Now, Kevin, I do agree with you in a sense where Carson Wentz has been bad in close games. But again, we don't know what he is as a postseason quarterback. And also, look at the year late in the game, or late in the season last year. 4-6 they had banged up receivers all over the place. And there was a lot of close games the Eagles won down the stretch, too. So maybe he's turning a leaf with that, with the close games.
Well, I'm not saying Dak Prescott's a good QB. I think he sucks, too. But Carson Wentz sucks. Absolutely, but it seems like people still think Carson Wentz is a top elite QB when he hasn't proven anything. Just like you said, he's never even made the playoffs.
No, you're right. I agree with you. I think Carson Wentz has a lot to prove this year, because until he proves that he can take a team and put a team on his shoulders and take them all the way to the Super Bowl, no matter what he did that year, and I believe he would have won the MVP that year if he didn't hurt his knee. That was the year they went all the way to the Super Bowl and beat the New England Patriots, and Tom Brady won the MVP in the regular season because Carson Wentz's injury. Carson Wentz was at the top of his game when he hurt his knee. He was the best quarterback in the league that year before he hurt his knee. Now, is he the same quarterback? I don't know. He hasn't really proven himself yet to be the same quarterback we thought he was going to be. And you're absolutely right. He's got to get into the playoffs and prove himself before you reign him the best quarterback in that draft class. I think Jared Goff is the worst out of that whole bunch of quarterbacks in that draft class.
Really? You think he's worse than Dak?
I do. Really? I do. I do not like Jared Goff.
Well,
I don't.
We know that.
I don't like him. I think he's highly overrated. I still think the best quarterback in that draft class is Carson Wentz, and the second one was Dak Prescott. When I look at Carson Wentz as a quarterback and as a player, I think he has potential of being a Super Bowl champion. I think he could win an MVP. But again, he has not been the same quarterback since his knee injury, and we've seen that. But you've seen Nick Foles flourish in that offense, in the Peterson offense, and we have not seen that with Carson Wentz since his injury. So you're absolutely right. Do I think that Carson Wentz deserved the $130 million contract that he got? No, I don't. And Goff got a $120 million contract. I don't believe he deserved that contract either. But do you think that Dak, out of both those quarterbacks, deserves more than Carson Wentz and Jared Goff? Both guys, and you could say whatever you want. Carson Wentz didn't take the team to the Super Bowl, but he was a big part of the reason why they got into the playoffs. So do you think that knowing that Carson Wentz won a Super Bowl, even though he was the backup quarterback, and Jared Goff 2 years ago was in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots, he bombed that game, but he was in the Super Bowl and he got him there, and he did beat the Saints out of just a real lucky call. But do you really think that Dak is as good as both those quarterbacks?
No, I don't think Dak is a very good quarterback. I think he has a better team around him, too. I think he's got better weapons.
Now he does.
If you look at Nick Foles, he won the Super Bowl, but what does that say about the Eagles? If Nick Foles, the backup, can come and win the Super Bowl when Wentz gets hurt, what does that say about the Eagles? Maybe the Eagles are just a really good team.
Yeah, Doug Peterson's a great coach.
No, it had nothing to do with Doug Peterson. It had everything to do. No, it doesn't. It had everything to do with their defense. The best part of the reason why the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl was the domination in the fourth quarter of defense. Go look at what they did in their Super Bowl run. Yes, Foles made the plays and Peterson made the crazy calls in the Super Bowl. But in the big part of the game, the defense is what won those games. Schwartz was the reason why they won the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots, because of those sacks at the end of in the fourth quarter, at the end of the game, getting to Tom Brady, putting pressure on Tom Brady in the fourth quarter that knocked him off his positioning where he can get the ball to a Gronk or an Edelman. He couldn't do that, or Chris Hogan. He couldn't do that in that game because of the defense. And that has a lot to do, that has nothing to do with the offense, it has nothing to do with the quarterback.
Well, they did put up 38 points against the top defense for the Vikings, though, too. So keep that in mind as well. And they scored 41 points against Bill Belichick.
So I agree with you, Kevin. I think there's a lot to say about the fact that Dak Prescott doesn't get enough love like Carson Wentz and Jared Goff does. But Dak Prescott's got to prove himself in the playoffs. And the way he's going to do that is take his team to an NFC title game, prove himself, and get his team to a Super Bowl. If he could do that, I think Dak Prescott, you give him whatever he wants. You give him whatever he wants. But I don't know if this West Coast offense fits his game. And I think it's going to be a big problem. And I think Andy Dalton fits better in the West Coast offense because he played in the West Coast offense for years, especially with Jay Gruden.
What about Jared Goff? You don't like him? I mean, he had some pretty good games. He was hanging in there with all the elite teams, Seattle, 49ers. He was banging back and forth with them, so I think he can compete with anybody. It's just about...
He's horrendous. Kevin, he's horrendous, man.
Nobody's saying he's a top 10 quarterback. I wouldn't go as far as horrendous.
He is horrendous. His offense is predicated on what the coach calls the audible at the line of scrimmage. The NFL has tried to change the game and shut off the headphones after 15 seconds because if you look at Jared Goff and the reason why they made it to the Super Bowl that year, Sean McVay was calling plays at the line of scrimmage with 5 seconds left on the clock.
Wait a minute. This is the same Sean McVay that you thought is going to be fired after next season when we argued a month ago.
He is. He's going to be fired after next year.
Who gets credit for the offense, then?
What do you mean? Nobody knew his offense. His first year, he went to the Super Bowl, okay? His first year. So don't give me your crap, Speedy, on your analytic crap, because the truth is, now teams are figuring him out. Why didn't the Rams make the playoffs this year if they were so damn good?
Because their GM is horrible. They had a bad offensive
give me a break.
Their GM is horrible.
McVay's offense wasn't as as great as it was the year before.
Okay,
and that's because
fair.
teams figured it out. His play calling out. That's why. The way he called the audible and the way the NFL changed the rule that they shut off the headsets after 15 seconds. So Jared Goff couldn't call the audibles at the line of scrimmage because he's one of those quarterbacks that is a yes man type of quarterback. He's no Peyton Manning. He's no Tom Brady. He's no Drew Brees. He's none of those guys. He's not an elite quarterback, nor will he ever be.
I don't think anyone said he was elite.
No, he's not a good quarterback, period.
You think? Yeah, but you think he's below average. I wouldn't go that far.
I do. You put Dak Prescott on that offense, he plays just as well as Jared Goff.
Okay, but
hold on.
Good.
Didn't Jared Goff beat Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
And the Chiefs?
Yes. 54-51. That was that Mexico City shootout game.
I mean, it takes a special type of quarterback to be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
You go tit for tat.
Kevin,
like
come
that.
on. Kevin.
Well, that's a little narrow-minded because Jacoby Brissett beat the Chiefs this year.